an undergraduate student and a graduate student speaker. First, please welcome Catherine Wilbur, who will receive a BSc in Secondary History and Government Education tomorrow.
There really are a lot of you here. As I stand here, I'm having an Elle Woods moment. Just picturing the end of Legally Blonde where she stands and addresses her graduating class. Elle gave a brilliant speech, but because I don't have a group of Hollywood's most distinguished screenwriters, I had to resort to watching every graduation speech that YouTube had to offer. I came across many insightful speeches. Universities had speakers such as Lisa Kudrow, Conan O'Brien, and Ellen DeGeneres. Now I apologize, but due to already high tuition rates and budget cuts, you have to listen to me. The good news is that I come great. After watching speech after speech, I found that speakers love to make the analogy, life is like fill in the blank. Let me tell you, I heard some odd analogies for life. Therefore, throughout this speech, I like to come to my own analogy for life. But for now, let's just take a minute and take all of this in. Here, we stand in the most historic building on campus. Yes, where top recruit Andrew Wiggins will play basketball next year. We're experiencing a moment we've waited years to experience. We must realize that we didn't make it to this place alone. For that reason, on behalf of all of you, I'd like to thank Google, Wikipedia, the copy and paste function, Red Bull, late night delivery pizza, daytime naps, Natty Light, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the Hawk who realizes that the weekend truly does start on Wednesdays instead of Fridays. We must thank the great professors and educators at the University of Kansas, all of the parents, families, and friends, and for those of us who have really made it and are way ahead of the rest of us, we thank the spouses. As we look back at our 4, maybe 5, and for those of us who are dead set on stretching college out as long as possible, 6 years, we remember times of stress, times of accomplishment, and of course, times of pure panic. Of all of these feelings, a few moments stand out in my mind. There's a moment of panic that hit me on the first day of classes. Naturally, I came into the room, looked around to see if I knew anyone, and settled in. Then the professor began passing out the syllabus, and I realized I was in the wrong class. So I tried to play it cool, acted like I was getting a phone call in an attempt to sneak out before anyone noticed. Now, unfortunately, this moment of panic happened to me not once, not twice, but 3 times in one semester. Another one of those moments seemed to occur for me every semester on syllabus day. I would come in eager to start the new semester out on the right foot, only to realize that all of my professors had gotten together to simultaneously plan every test, project, and paper to be due on the same day, which also happened to be my birthday, the day of the KU K-State basketball game, or the first day back from fall or spring break. Finally, a moment of panic that I know we've all felt as test time would approach. I would have napped, showered, cleaned, really anything to avoid studying. Hours behind my study schedule, I'd head to the library. Upon finding a place, I'd check every social media site and before I got started. Soon, Mom would call. I would snap at her, only to quickly apologize. She would tell me that she would say a prayer for me. Knowing that she was trying to be sweet, I wouldn't tell her that what I really needed was a couple Xanax or a 24-pack. Soon, slap happy and delirious, I would realize that it was 3 a.m. I would have accepted the fact that I was going to fail the exam, and that working as the guy outside of the We Buy Gold store on 23rd Street wasn't the end of the world. I would play the game of I haven't used C in a while on the test and really hope that Mom's prayers were heard. It's true, I've had my share of panic moments, but I'm happy to say there were many more monumental moments over the past few years. Who among us could forget celebrating on Mass Street after the Ohio State victory to make it to the national championship game? Or when Michael Phelps became the most decorated Olympian with 22 medals? Then there was anxiously awaiting the next fake Jeff Wiki tweet during each KU basketball game. Throughout our time here at KU, Jefferson's closed, breaking all of our hearts, fortunately to reopen. The use of social media has skyrocketed. Frozen yogurt shops have popped up on every street corner, and we have felt the need to hashtag all of our emotions. All of these experiences have led us to learn many things. Heck, we didn't go into 15 years of student loan debt for nothing. We learned food makes everything better. It's especially necessary late at night, whether you are studying or standing outside of the wheel. And yes, Jimmy John's really does have freaking fast delivery. We learned if you reach the second page of Google, you are A, desperate for an answer, or B, you better give up hope soon, because if Google doesn't have the answer, well then it's just an unanswerable question. We learned it's not necessary to buy all the books listed on the syllabus, because half of them never get used, and you can typically BS your way through any classroom discussion. C, we learned to be resourceful, frugal, and green. We learned not to mess with the KU campus cops or the KU parking service. Those men mean business. We also learned that the chance of finding a parking spot on campus was slim to none, so we become masters at parallel parking on steep hills or one-way streets. We've learned that misery loves company, and humor makes everything better. Finding others faced with the same horrific project and making light of the difficult assignment somehow makes the situation better. We learn through tests and assignments the satisfaction of hard work. And if we can memorize every muscle in the human body, or complete the Kansas Performance Teaching Portfolio, aka the KPTP, we can literally do anything. We learn that the saying, good judgment comes from experience, and experience comes from bad judgment, really is true. And oh, do we have the stories to prove it. We learn that life is not always fair, and that's okay. We've learned there are times you just have to take a deep breath and say, well, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, and do the best that we can do. Now, we've hit the part where it appears in all commencement speeches that the speaker gives a few words of advice to the graduates. As I stand here, I realize there are still so many things for me to learn about life. I ask myself, how could I possibly give advice to all of you, when life likes to continually remind me that I do not in fact know a fraction of what I thought I knew. But here's my best attempt at sharing the words of wisdom I have gained in my first 23 years. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It shows that you're mature enough to know when you need guidance. Limit your always and your nevers. Find a happy place in between. Know that just because you had a bad day doesn't mean you have a bad life. Always try and keep things in perspective. And most importantly, follow your heart and listen to your intuition. These two gifts will never lead you astray. They are always looking out for your best interest. As I reflect over my years in school and the developing of the speech, I have come across the analogy I promised to at the beginning of the speech. Unlike many others have said, life is not a high-speed car chase, a boomerang, a hot bath, a game of cards, or even a box of chocolates. Life is simply a choice. We've all made the choice to come to KU. As we leave, we will face more choices than ever before in our lives. Choose wisely, and make life as great as you dream it can be. If the choices don't always work out, forgive yourself and choose another path. We have the ability to decide how our lives turn out. As we go forward, let us have the courage to change the things we can, the strength to accept the things that we cannot, and the wisdom to know the difference between the two. If I were Elle Woods in Legally Blonde, now would be the time I would screech, "We did it!" And we would all throw our caps in the air. The camera would focus in on each of you, stating the things you would go on to accomplish after graduation. But those things are not predetermined. You have the chance to write your future. You have been taught the science of your field of study. You know all the academic aspects. Now it is time for you to go live the art of your degree. So go write the best future you can write. Good luck and congratulations, class of 2013.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. We would like to present you with a remembrance of this occasion. At this time, I would like to introduce Dr. Sally Roberts, Associate Dean for Teacher Education and Undergraduate Programs. She will present the candidates for bachelor's degrees.
faculty and guests, it is my pleasure to present the candidates for baccalaureate degrees. I will ask that the audience hold your applause until all of the baccalaureate candidates have been introduced. The Dean will congratulate our students. Candidates, you should place your tassel to the right side of the mortarboard, shake hands with the Dean, and pause briefly for the photographer at mid-stage. You will also pause at the area south of the stage for a photograph. Marshals, please escort the candidates to the stage. Catherine Michelle Wilbur.
Yeah.
Mallory Bales. Megan Brittany Burns. Emily Capo. Catherine Claire Cristiano.
Oh my gosh, Michelle, this wasn't recording the entire time.
Kelsey Fortin. Stephanie Susan.